What's up, everybody? Welcome to this week's video. What we want to dive into is this common misconception that the only good snake is a dead snake. One of the absolute most ignorant things that we hear uttered quite frequently, especially when you're somebody that is into field herping or passionate about these animals, be it conservation or otherwise, or keep them as pets or breeders, whatever it is that you do. We hear it a lot. We hear it from our friends. We hear it from our family. We hear it from peers. We hear it from people online, strangers. People just love to interject their opinions into anything and really flash their ignorance. So let's dive into why snakes are beneficial to us as a species and to the ecosystem. Something that a lot of people don't realize is all these fringe benefits, so to speak, that we get from these animals, from their existence, and how keystone of a species they are to our survival. There's certain species of animals that are really critical to human survival, and snakes are pretty high up that list. Obviously, things like bees are really critical, but snakes actually do something very similar to bees that a lot of people don't realize. And so what that is they're actually, they do secondary seed dispersal. And so rodents obviously eat a lot of different plants and stuff that have seeds. And that's one way that these seeds are dispersed into the population. But rodents have a pretty small territory that they live in, so they don't really disperse the seeds very far. Whereas when those rodents are eaten by snakes, snakes have a larger territory, go to larger areas typically, and so these seeds get dispersed further. And now not only does that obviously help to have these plants pop up in other areas and move around, but it actually helps the plant species themselves survive by not having them stuck in a small area and competing for resources, be it, light, water, area, nutrients in the soil. So these snakes actually help promote these plant survival, and obviously plants are one of the basis of the food chain that goes all the way up to us. So these animals are very useful for that. It's a big thing that they do that a lot of people aren't aware of. They also are really good at rodent control in general, and people understand that rodents carry a lot of various diseases that can be harmful to us, to our dogs, to our livestock. There's a lot of zoonotic diseases out there that they spread, and so the larger the rodent populations explode to, the more risk we are at for these things to spread. Snakes are one of the key species in keeping rodent populations under control. Now, another thing that they do by keeping these rodent populations under control really helps with farming. There's an interesting statistic here where current estimates suggest that 200 million people could be fed by the amount of food that rodents destroy a year when it comes to grain and crops. 200 million people. So imagine with snakes doing their job right now, how bad it is. Take them out of the picture, let those rodent populations explode, and imagine where we would be at. So snakes truly are a farmer's best friend. If you're a farmer, snakes don't do any harm to your plants. They don't do anything that's going to thwart what you're doing there. They're only going to help you depending on the species. They eat insects and they eat rodents, both things that are going to actually damage your crops, cut into your profits, take away food, as we see from 200 million people. That's a lot of people. So that is a huge thing that they do. Another big service that these animals do, or a fringe benefit, especially in some of the rattlesnake species and other species, because they control some of these larger rodents, they actually get rid of a lot of ticks. And so somebody like myself lives in an area where we have a lot of tick-borne disease. It's very prevalent. I think just about every dog I've ever owned over the years has had Lyme disease. I've had Lyme disease several times. It can be very debilitating, can cause some serious issues for some people, some animals. And so it is very prevalent here. And rattlesnake species, especially, and lots of other species of snakes, your rat snakes, things like that, really help to remove a lot of ticks from the population. In fact, thousands of ticks per animal. So getting rid of those animals, more explosion of ticks, more tick-borne diseases. Right now, you've got that disease floating around where it makes you allergic to red meat. And if you're somebody like me, that is terrifying. I like my red meat. I want to be able to eat my red meat. That tick-borne disease scares me. These animals help prevent that. Give me more of them. That and possums. Another thing that they do, they actually, because of the damage rodents do, they can actually help reduce your risk of house fires, because rodents get in, they chew wires. Faulty wiring can lead to house fires. So more snakes around means less rodents, less potential for danger like that. Yeah, that's a bit of a reach here, but it's still something to consider. So having snakes around your property is a good thing. They're not aggressive animals. If you leave them alone, they'll leave you alone. It really is that simple. So have them around, and you get all these fringe benefits. So I'm happy to have them here. Anytime I see them, it's always a good day. One of the biggest things that snakes are really helping us with is medicine and treatments for various diseases and issues. Venom compounds, especially in venomous snakes, have been a huge part of the medicinal world. And chances are every single person that's watching this video knows someone close to them whose life is either better, more comfortable, or existing because of the medicinal benefits from these venomous snakes. They are all over with all different types of issues and different types of things. And the thing is, it's not simply, well, we already have the medication for the venom, screw these snakes, get rid of them. Different species of venomous snakes compounds are different within their venom, and these different compounds open up different medications. Some things that we haven't discovered yet, some things that we're just starting to work on. We've barely tapped into what's available to us. We've only really gotten compounds from a few species out there that are really applicable and working so far. There's a lot more for us to learn there. Big avenue. So every time one of these species becomes endangered or extinct, we're losing the ability to treat some of these diseases, sicknesses, illnesses, all these things. The last thing you'd want to do is be out there killing snakes in your yard and realize maybe you killed a species that could have saved your child, your mother, your brother, your sister, your best friend down the road. So be aware of what these animals are doing for us. Things like hypertension, cardiac failure, unstable angina, acute coronary syndrome, neuropathic headaches, Alzheimer's, stroke, Parkinson's. All of these things have cures or treatments that are coming from these venom compounds, and so many more. That's just a few examples that I wrote down for the sake of this video. But this stuff is widespread. If you have high blood pressure, a lot of high blood pressure medications, because of the qualities in this venom and the way that the venom will prevent you from clotting, things like that can actually help stop heart attacks by using what these compounds do that normally would be a negative to their prey. We can turn it into a positive through research, science, and you know, these natural compounds that exist. We live in an amazing world where a lot of what we need to fix a lot of these issues is out there. We just have to tap into it, research it, and learn how to use it to our advantage. And so these animals are a huge part of that. With more and more things happening and more things to be concerned with, this is a really great avenue in science and medicine that we need to pursue. So before you sit there, if you're one of those people that thinks the only good snake is a dead snake, or if you have family members or friends that say that, these are some talking points that you can bring up to them, because chances are a lot of the people that said that, their lives are better because of these animals. And they may not want to see that, but that is the truth. And these animals are keystone species in their ecosystems. The ecosystems depend so much on them, both as predator and as prey. Snakes are food for a lot of other animals that work their way up the chain. Also, in certain countries, these animals are used for food. These animals are used for clothing. So they provide a lot in that as well. And obviously at that point, they are dead. But, you know, if they're farmed responsibly and, you know, killed humanely, or these animals are dying of natural causes and them being used in that manner, they can still offer benefits. And so keeping their populations up so that they're sustained and we can use them in that manner is very helpful. Not to mention, you know, they're out in the pet trade, obviously, people like myself, people like a lot of you watching this video. So treat these animals with respect. If you're scared of them, just give them a wider berth. They'll go on their way, you'll go on your way, and you're both going to benefit from each other. So we'll see you guys soon. Thank you.